آمنوا كتب عليكم الصيام كما كتب على الذين من قبلكم لعلكم تتقون أياما معدودات فمن كان منكم مريضا أو على سفر فعدة من أيام أخر وعلى الذين يطيقونه فدية طعام مسكين فمن تطوع خيرا فهو خير له وأن تصوموا خير لكم إن كنتم تعلمون شهر رمضان الذي أنزل فيه القرآن هدى للناس وبينات من الهدى والفرقان فمن شهد منكم الشهر فليصمه ومن كان مريضا أو على سفر فعدة من أيام أخر يريد الله بكم اليسر ولا يريد بكم العسر ولتكملوا العدة ولتكبروا الله على ما هداكم ولعلكم تشكرون صدق الله العظيم. So inshallah, I'll call upon our honorable guest, Sheikh Saad Qadri, which I believe he doesn't need introduction in this community. He's been someone we've all heard of. Alhamdulillah, he's the imam in one of the masjids in Milwaukee these days. We thank him for coming out, taking time, driving down for this program of ours, inshallah. So inshallah, as soon as Siraj Bhai leaves him, we'll have him come forward, inshallah. That's why I could do it. Just get you around this.
I think he's allergic to me. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I actually had to get a kodi for my father because normally if I pin it here then no one can hear because of the beard. And I just grabbed a koti right now. Alhamdulillah wa kafa wa salamun ala ibadihi alladhina astafa. Amma ba'd fa'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Ya ayyuhal ladhina amanu كتب عليكم الصيام كما كتب على الذين من قبلكم لعلكم تتقون فقال الله تعالى في مقام آخر إن للمتقين مفازة فقال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم من صام رمضان إيمانا واحتسابا غفر له ما تقدم من ذنبه فقال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم كم من صائم ليس له من صيامه إلا الظمأ سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم. I want to begin by apologizing. A lot of my elders are seated on the ground, and ulama and students of knowledge and huffaz and people who are generally better than I am. So I apologize for sitting up here. This is just how the arrangements were made. I feel a bit uncomfortable. I also want to I was thinking about that. I saw this all set up. That's what I thought I was going to sit when I came. Yeah, alhamdulillah. As they set it up, I'll keep it. But alhamdulillah. What is? Remember the old number, MSI? Old number? In the office and everything. Alhamdulillah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made for human beings different opportunities by which we can gain closeness to Him. Every day when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allows us and gives us tawfiq to perform wudu, sins, they fall away from our bodies, from our hands, from our mouths, from our faces. Every day if we come and we see the box for sadaqah and we give money from our pockets, that's an opportunity for us to grow closer to Him. Every day when we meet a brother, we shake hands. When the sisters meet sisters, they shake hands. Sins fall from our hands and we move closer to Him. That's an opportunity for us to grow closer to Him. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He is so generous that He made our existence as believers in such a way that everything we do, we can grow closer to Him. In fact, the nature of a believer is that no matter what we do, we grow closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so long as we are following what He's prescribed. If a believing child looks at his mother or her mother's face with love, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala draws him closer, draws her closer. That child is rewarded. If a believer feeds, the husband feeds his wife with a small morsel of food, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala rewards that husband, and that husband grows closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So in our daily lives, we have so many mechanisms by which we can grow closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So in many ways, when we sit here, we have to wonder if everything we walk into the masjid, we grow closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We pray prayers, our sins are forgiven. Then why is it that we put so much importance on preparing for Ramadan? Because every moment, every worship, we're going closer to Allah Ta'ala. We don't have sessions in which we're preparing for prayer. Oh, that's to be a very good session. We don't have sessions on preparing for, I don't know, zakah, although some places do have those. There's so many aspects of our deen in which we worship Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala and we grow closer to Him through those areas. But all of us know that Ramadan is very special. Ramadan is a type of interaction with Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala's deen, through which an individual is able to attain a very special qurb, a very special proximity with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And in this verse of fasting, in the verses of Ramadan, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us the command to fast, and He also showed us how close we'll grow to Him. If an individual looks at the verses of zakah, there's no specific indication of how close we'll grow to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Hajj, the same thing. But in Ramadan and fasting, Allah ta'ala mentions kutiba alaykum as-siyam, that fasting has been ordered upon you. Kama kutiba ala alladhina min qablikum, as those before you, la'allakum tattaqun. So here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He gives the command and He gives the end result together. And the reason why He gives the command and the end result together is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is opening for us a glimpse, a window, a door to understand the great benefit by which a person who successfully goes to Ramadan will be able to acquire. Now this is normal for all of us. If I'm going to go to a job interview, if I'm interviewing, let's say here there's a teaching position for the Sunday school, I come to interview, and I sit down for the interview, and we have the entire conversation. I'm expecting, okay, what's my salary going to be? How many Sundays will I get off, etc. That's going to be a normal interaction. Why? I'm already told what's expected of me. You must come every Sunday. You must be able to have lessons plans prepared in advance. You should be able to deliver your classes without any interruption, etc. But I'm also, from my end, expecting to know, what will I get from it? So in this verse, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He's telling us what He expects from us. Kutiba alaykum as-siyam, that you have now this command upon you, I have upon me this command of fasting. But then Allah Ta'ala, He tells us that, look, I'm giving you this command. It's sufficient for me to command you. You have nothing else to ask. If I give you this command as a parent, if I tell my child, you have to go put the dishes away, and they say, Baba, kyun? Why? Well, who cares? I'll say, what do you mean why? I told you that's sufficient. And many of us who are parents, we know how that feels. If a child says, we say, clean up your room. Why, Baba? Why not? You don't have the right to ask, I am your father, I am your mother, I brought you into this world, by Allah's tawfiq, that if I tell you that's sufficient. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Rabbul Alameen, tells us to fast, that's enough. But then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what He does, He gives us a special what? He gives us a special incentive. Now He doesn't say at the end of the verse that if we fast, we'll attain Jannah. That's a great reward. He doesn't say at the end of the verse that if we fast, we'll be saved from the hellfire, which is also a great reward. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He mentions, لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ. Now for those of you who've studied, for those of us who've been able to study some Arabic, we know that within the Arabic language, there's different uses of different words. So in Arabic, if you map out the Arabic language, it begins with lafaz, which is articulation. Then there's muhmal, meaningless words, nothing comes underneath it. Mawdu', they're words with meanings, there'll be two types. Mufrad, they're single words. All the Quran will fall into this category. And this has three types. Ism, fi'l, harf. A noun, a verb, a particle. Murakkab is a combination of different words. Then murakkab has two categories. One category is mufid, one is ghair mufid. Complete sentence, phrase. In the complete sentence, there's a couple different types of sentences. One's khabriya, one's insha'iyya. Insha'iyya is a declarative sentence. We declare something from it. Now in this, there's 10 different types. There's amr, nahi, istifham. There are all these different types. In this, there's two particular types that are very similar. To have tamanna and taraji of something. To have desire for something. In those two particular types, they use two different words that are similar meaning, but they're very different. So let me explain. There's two terms in Arabic that speak about hope, of hoping and desiring something. One term we see in Quran where Allah Ta'ala uses the word layta. يَقُولُ الْكَافِرُ يَا لَيْتَنِي كُنْتُ تُرَابًا. On the Day of Judgment, the disbeliever, when he sees the animals that wrong one another, they're all judged against one another. The one with horns hits the one without horns. In this world, then Allah Ta'ala takes away in the Day of Judgment horns from this animal, puts on this animal, allows him to strike the other animal back, they turn to dust. The disbeliever will see this and he will say, Laytani kuntu turaba. He will wish that if only, it's a wish, if only today I could also turn to dust. If only today I could also turn to dust. Layta, it shows a type of impossible want. Something's impossible, but we really wish you could have it. Layta shabab ya'ud. This is a common term that we learn in the Arabic language when we study this particular word. If only my youth would return to me. So, this word layta shows hope, but it's impossible. The other one is known as la'alla. La'alla shows hope, and it's a possible hope. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala at the end of the verse, He says, لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ. The reason why we fast is that there's a chance we'll receive a specific reward. And this reward is so powerful, it's so strong, that rather than even mentioning the term, what? Of Jannah. Entrance into Jannah. Or the idea of being saved from the hellfire, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving us the highest hope. Imam Suyuti rahimahullah, in the Tafsir Jalalain, when you look at the verse in the Surah Baqarah in the very beginning, Allah Ta'ala mentions Alif Lam Mim, ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابِ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ هُدًى لِلْمُتَّقِينَ. Under Muttaqeen, He mentions three types of people. The lowest type from the people of taqwa are those who do things out of fear to save themselves from hellfire. That's a very good position to be in. Then, above that are those people who do things out of desire, want, hope of Jannah. Now if you look at a child, if a child's told, mow the lawn, the child might do it because Baba's going to hit me if I don't. Baba's going to get angry with me if I don't. That's the lowest level. But then the higher level might be, Baba promised he'll give me $10 if I do it. He'll get me a new fidget spinner if I do it, whatever the case may be. That's higher. Before it's just fear. Now the fear is gone, we've moved up the desire to acquire something. But the highest level for the believers, or if in this case of mowing the lawn, is not out of fear of being in trouble, nor hope of getting some gift, but the highest level is, Baba asked, Abuji asked. He asked me, how could I not say yes? Let me go do it. I'm not going to get in trouble if I don't do it. I'm not going to get a reward if I do it. But what difference does it make? I will make my father happy. I'm going to do it. So Imam Suyuti rahimahullah, he mentions that the lowest level is fear of hell. The second level of desire of Jannah. But the people of belief, when they begin to have this type of taraqqi and getting closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they no longer fear hell. Obviously within taqwa there's always a baseline fear of hell. But that's not the motivation anymore. They no longer desire Jannah. Although everyone desires Jannah, but that's not the main motivation. The main motivation is what? My Allah asked me to do something. My Allah created me. My Allah established my existence on this earth. He provided for me. I want to do whatever I can for my Allah. And so taqwa, the highest level, the lowest is, ijtinabun nawahi. To stay away from those things that are prohibited. Ijtinabun nawahi. The second level is what? It's to do what? Imtithalul awamir. To follow the commands of Allah. Usually the first one's out of fear of sinning. The second one is out of what? Desire of doing good. But the highest one, taqwa, is what? To leave anything whatsoever except for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's the highest level. And that comes from a deep love with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So here in this verse of Quran, Allah ta'ala is not talking about how He'll reward us or how He'll save us from punishment. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us that we're going to get this deep connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala known as taqwa. I'm focused in Ramadan. Now in this idea of taqwa, some people, alhamdulillah, they make some great promises to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Oh Allah, this month I'm going to give up XYZ. Brother and sister, not blood brother, blood sister, brother and sister of the deen, have a relationship, they shouldn't have a relationship. So what do they decide? In this month of Ramadan, we're not going to text one another. In this month of Ramadan, we're not going to talk to one another. In this Ramadan, we have to break off our relationship. After Ramadan, we'll continue. We've seen this. People have certain habits in their lives. In this month, this 30 days, I'm going to leave this habit. Afterwards, we'll continue. This, my dear brothers and sisters, is not the pinnacle of taqwa. Because remember, it's not ijtinabun nawahi only. It's not imtithal al-awamir only. It's to leave ma siwallah. And a person who decides that I'm going to, for these 29 and 30 days, lose something or acquire something just for this month, has not desired to connect himself or herself with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Rather, he or she has desired to make a connection with the month of Ramadan. How do we know this? Because when Ramadan comes, they become one person. When Ramadan leaves, they go back to being the person they were before. And this is not the role of Ramadan. This is not the role of Ramadan. The role of Ramadan is what? We, throughout the year, despite those different mechanisms by which we can go closer to Allah Ta'ala that I mentioned in the beginning of the talk, for some reason it doesn't push us all the way. Why? Because the temptations of this world, the whispers of shaitan, and the way our nafs is tied with us, it completely throws us off. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, out of His deep love for us, created a month. In this month, shaitan is locked away. In this month, our nafs gets so crushed because we're not eating, we're not drinking, we're not having marital relationships in the day, we're not sleeping as much as we want, we're not doing everything we want. Everything that our nafs wants begins to get crushed. Now, why is that an important idea? When we talk about spirituality, we have to recognize the following. We are inherently partially spiritual. Spiritual meaning what? Ruhani. We have two parts of our existence. We have the body and we have the soul. The body was made in the earth. The body was made from teen, sulal min teen. It's made from wet mud, dirt. This is what we're made from. Then the soul, where is it made from? It's made in alam al-arwah, the place of the heavens. The body is made on this earth, and the body was created from the earth, and the body grows by eating from the earth. If I want to have dinner, I will have maybe some vegetables that will grow from the earth. I'll have some fruit that will grow from the earth. I'll have some animal that grazed upon the earth. I'll have water that fell from the atmosphere and collected upon the earth. Everything comes from the earth because my body is made from the earth. So just like the body can only eat, no one says I'm going outside and eat air. It won't work. You have to eat what's within the earth. In that same way, when the soul needs to grow, it also needs to eat. How does the soul eat? The soul eats from the heavenly food. Because the body is made from the earth, they'll eat from the earth. The soul is made from the heavens. What will the soul eat from? All the awamir, the commands of Allah Ta'ala. The body is made from alam al-khalq, the place of creation. Everything is from earth. The soul is made in alam al-amr, the place of commands. So Allah Ta'ala commands us to fast, we grow. He commands us to pray, we do so, we grow. He commands us to give zakah, we grow. Now it's so interesting. We're fasting, we're not eating, but we feel even better than how a person would feel after a large meal. In fact, if we were to compare, in what part of the month of Ramadan do we feel at our lowest, most sluggish point? It's usually before Taraweeh prayer. Why? Because we just had 2 meals before. We had an entire iftar, then we had an entire dinner, and then now Isha is coming and we feel sluggish. But the body is performing and it's feeling great before that. He hated the fact if anyone would say, well, he did such and such, but I have to do more because he's already the messenger of Allah. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, one, as rahmatun lil alameen, he's a mercy to us, but two, he's uswatun hasana, he's the best example for us. So when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam in the role to be the guide of our ummah, He made it such that we do ittiba of him, we follow him completely. Now Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam's ummahatul mu'mineen, the wives, were asked that, what is his habit concerning what? Concerning prayer. So this particular narration doesn't mention which al-Mu'mineen it was, responded by saying that he prays part of the night and he sleeps part of the night. So the person's response was what? That for me to be to gain any type of taraqqi and growth, to be close to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, what do I need to do? I must forsake prayer. No more prayer. I must forsake sleep. Only prayer for me at night. I must forsake sleep and only pray at night. The other one whose question regarded fasting, and he was told that he fasts some days, he doesn't fast some days. So he said, I'm going to do Sawm al-Dahr. I'm just going to continuously fast. The third one asked regarding his marital life, and when he was told that obviously he marries, his response was that I'm going to be celibate. I'm going to give up marriage. Now in theory, because the body and soul are in a balance, we assume that if we feed the soul, and give the soul all of our efforts and all of our attention, this should be a great thing. We'll become very spiritual people. But when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam found out about this, he became very angry. And he corrected them and told them that I pray and I sleep. I fast and I eat and I marry. And that particular hadith ends with what? وَمَنْ رَغِبَ عَنْ سُنَّتِ فَلَيْسَ مِنِّي. Whoever leaves my way is not from me. Meaning what? To only put all the emphasis on the soul is a big problem. It's not going to result in people becoming more spiritual. What's going to happen? They're going to become worse actually. They're going to destroy themselves. In another hadith in that same bab, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned 3 times that destroyed the people who put over emphasis or put too much extremism within their worship. Then there's the other way. People only feed the body, only feed the body, only feed the body. And the examples are numerous. A few years ago, I think it was 6 years ago, there was a study, athletes and celebrities in this country, in the West, the fastest growing religion amongst this particular group of people was Buddhism. Now why Buddhism? Because they have the money, they have the wealth, they have the food, they have the women, they have the men, they have the houses, they have everything. But they feel so empty. They go on Zoloft, they go on Prozac, they go on all these things. Why? They feel depressed. Because to only feed the body results in depression. So we can't go one way, only feed the soul. We can't go the other way, only feed the body. We have to maintain a balance. So then people say, well, how does Ramadan fit? Ramadan is completely imbalanced. Actually, Ramadan is not imbalanced. Ramadan is so spiritual because we finally gain a balance. I'm not going to ask the question, but if I were to ask you this question, what is the sunnah of eating? Half the audience in most places would say, brother, 1/3 food, 1/3 drink, and 1/3 for breathing. That's actually not the sunnah of eating. That is the latter part of the hadith. That is for only specific people who have that type of need. If you're a bodybuilder like Yasin Shamsi or something, then yes, you need to maybe do 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. But the rest of us, we don't need that. The rest of it, we're not working out in the fields. We're fine. Rasulullah ﷺ mentioned at the beginning of the hadith, the worst type of vessel for the son of Adam ﷺ to fill is the stomach. Having a bite or a couple of bites is sufficient just to keep the back straight. And if necessary, 1/3 food, 1/3 air, 1/3 drink, 1/3 air. In another hadith, Rasulullah ﷺ mentioned that a believer eats one part of his stomach and the disbeliever eats 7 parts. So in these hadith we see to eat little, that's balance. Now most of us, if we were to look at our lives, maybe not you, but at least me, I have high cholesterol. So I have high cholesterol. High cholesterol does not result from too much fasting. I've never heard of that before. The doctors can correct me. High cholesterol does not result from too much exercise. High cholesterol results from too much consumption. We have heart disease in my family, but often heart disease, it's genetic, but heart problems result from what? Too much fasting? No. It results from what? Too much consumption. And if you ask many of the doctors, they'll say so much of it is linked to the stomach. We've made an imbalance when it comes to much of our lives. And that imbalance is very problematic. So Ramadan, what it does, it teaches us how to eat again. Now, it teaches us, we don't always follow it. But the way a person eats, and if you ever have iftar from the sunnah, just dates and water, at that, a person feels very comfortable. They can pray the prayer for Maghrib, pray the awabin, and then come back, they feel very comfortable. Then they'll have a meal later. And if a person eats too much suhoor, what happens? Person feels hungry very quickly in the morning. Why? They expanded their stomach, and now all of a sudden the stomach's beginning to feel the emptiness. Or if a person has a basic suhoor, a few dates, some water, maybe something small, they're able to actually contain themselves throughout the rest of the day. So why is Ramadan so spiritual? Because it teaches us how to be practical. Our consumption, when we decrease in Ramadan, we actually will get back to a pretty much a healthy baseline, and the soul will begin to grow. Sleep. In Ramadan, people don't sleep much. Man qama Ramadan imanan wa ihtisaban ghufir lahu ma taqaddama min dhanbi. Don't worry, I'm watching the clock as well. Keeps looking at his phone. You're married, right? Okay, so that's okay if you look at your phone. So, your father's here, I shouldn't have made that joke. But in Ramadan, our sleep is decreased and people still function. Now, yes, they're drowsy, but they function. They catch a quick afternoon nap in the car during lunch, and they're functional. And it shows us what? That we've made an imbalanced way of sleeping. Now, remember, the balance of spirituality is to keep the body and soul taking what it needs and allowing the soul to take more than that. So the first reason why Ramadan is so special spiritually is because it re-establishes a balance. So if I want to be successful this Ramadan, what I have to do is take a step back and say, why did the last 36 Ramadans fail for me? Why am I not a better person? And there's a lot we could identify. You know what? I did eat a lot. I did sleep a lot. I involved myself in too much conversation. I would sit down for iftar and I would speak to 20, 30 people. I would pray tarawih, then I'd stand in the parking lot for 30 minutes and I would talk so much. These things I realize now are problematic. Now how are they problematic? Rasulullah ﷺ was sent to show us how to fast. And he says in 2 specific hadith that Man sama Ramadan, whoever fasts the month of Ramadan, imanan, with faith, wahtisaban, seeking reward, غُفِرَ لَهُ مَا تَقَدَّمَ مِنْ ذَنْبِهِ, whatever came preceding them will be forgiven. Now in this particular hadith we see, subhanAllah, such a great reward. But in another hadith, Rasulullah ﷺ mentions, كَمْ مِنْ صَائِمٍ, how many people they fast, لَيْسَ لَهُ مِنْ صِيَامِهِ, they get nothing from their fast, إِلَّا الظَّمَأ, except for what? Thirst. Except for hunger. So what's the difference here? Look at the hadith. Imanan wahtisaban. Allah has no need for our hunger. The way a person benefits. Now what's very, very interesting about the verse of fasting is the verse of Ramadan technically does not say that we will لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ. The verse of fasting says, لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ. So embedded within fasting is the ability to get us taqwa. The verse of Ramadan, شهر رمضان الذي أنزل فيه القرآن, it speaks about Quran, it speaks about other things. But the taqwa, that perchance will gain taqwa, is embedded in the verse of fasting. So what should a person do? A person should recognize, one, that Rasulullah ﷺ mentioned that some people who fast, they don't get the reward that they're seeking, or to get the reward that can come from fasting. So what are the errors of fasting that people make? One, in the hadith itself, iman wa ihtisab. To seek reward. To seek reward. Now, how does a person seek reward? If I say, Imam Sahib, I want to make you very happy. So I go out and I slash his tires, and I go and I egg his home. I haven't made him happy. If I want to seek reward, my actions have to speak according to what my words are saying. So when Allah Ta'ala says that He's going to grant us this reward through fasting, He doesn't just mean food, drink, marital relationships. Anyone can do that. Mu'aziz, when he was talking about fasting, he said you should look at fasting the following way. Everyone has a suhoor of fasting. It's called becoming baligh. Everyone has an iftar of fasting. What's it called? The dirt of your grave. And then he said, what are the things that that break that fast? Anything that upsets Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The believer is in a constant fast. Because what's fast? Fasting is abstention. Now, I only have a little less than 10 minutes left. And so one thing I want to mention is that if you look at the verses of fasting in the Quran, they don't speak merely about not eating, not drinking. Hazrat Maryam alayhi salam, when she is given the great honor, when her parents are given the great honor of her coming to this world, and she is born and she is now sent for worship, the religious leaders, they draw lots. They put their what's this called? Pen. They reed pens into the water to see which one will float. Zakaria alayhi salam is given that honor. Zakaria alayhi salam is given the honor to take care of her. This was her mother's sister's husband. He is now taking care of Maryam alayhi salam. And so, كُنَّمَا عَلَيْهِ دَخَلِ زَكَرِيَّا الْمِحْرَابَ وَجَدَ عِنْدَهَا رِزْقًا. That when he would come to her place that's established for worship, he would bring provision for her. And he found fruits out of season. He found meats from different areas. And he's seeing that this young woman who's spending her time in worship, Allah has provided for her. He asked, Ya Maryam, anna laki hada? Where did this come from? She said, Huwa min indillah. This is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Inna Allah yarzuqu man yasha bighayri hisab. Allah provides to whom He wants without any account. At that moment, Zakaria alayhi salam was so motivated, so moved, and a window opened in his mind, in his heart. He made, هُنَالِكَ دَعَا زَكَرِيَّا رَبَّهُ. At that moment, he made dua to Allah Ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because Zakaria alayhi salam saw that he gave Hazrat Maryam alayhi salam fruits from out of season, he recognized, my wife and I were out of season. Perhaps Allah Ta'ala can provide our fruits now, even in this point. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did do so. And said, يُبَشِّرُكَ بِيَحْيَا. That Allah Ta'ala has blessed you, has honored you, has given the glad tidings of Yahya. مُصَدِّقًا بِكَلِمَةٍ مِّنَ اللَّهِ وَسَيِّدًا وَحَصُورًا وَنَبِيًّا مِّنَ الصَّالِحِينَ. That he's going to be a rectifier and truthful to the word, and he's going to be a leader, and he's going to be Hasur is like someone who decides not to marry without any fault, any dysfunction. And he's going to be a prophet from the pious. Now when this happens, Zakaria alayhi salam, he asks, Rabbi ja'alli ayah, grant me a sign. So what did Allah Ta'ala say? The sign will be that you'll see in the sky saying that this will occur, that your food will begin to speak, stones will begin to speak, the moon will split. No, these weren't the signs. What was the signs? That you will not speak to someone for 3 days. You will fast for 3 days from speaking. Hazrat Maryam alayhi salam, when the angel comes to her and gives her the glad tidings of bearing the child, Isa alayhi salam. When she gets these glad tidings, she asks Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for a sign. And she is told to make this vow of fasting. What happens? Is she told, because you're going to have this child without ever marrying, that you will now have to fast 30 days or fast 3 days? She's told, don't speak. Inni nadartu lirrahmani soma. She made a vow to fast.
So in the case of Hazrat Zakaria alayhi salam being granted a child is in the shade of fasting. Hazrat Maryam alayhi salam in being granted a child and she's not married, no man has touched her, it occurs in the framework of fasting. Inni nadartu lirrahmani sawma. When people ask, what's this? Asharat ilay, she points to the child, she does not speak. Prophet Musa alayhi salam, when he goes to get the covenant, get the orders, get the commands from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how many days does he initially go to Mount Tur for? Initially. He goes 40 in the end. Initially he goes for 30. He goes for 30, and what is he doing in those 30 days? He's fasting. And to prepare himself with the meeting with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he does miswak to cleanse his mouth. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala returns him back to fast 10 more days to allow that odor to reform, because it's a very pleasing odor to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the breath of a person who's fasting. So in the framework of him being given these orders to take down to the people, where did it occur? It occurred in the context of fasting. In our Islamic history, in our religious history, some of the greatest events occurred with fasting. Our Quran. Rabi al-Awwal is the birthday of the Prophet ﷺ. Muharram is the month of the first month of the Islamic calendar. Why couldn't Quran been revealed there? Quran is revealed in the month of fasting. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made fasting an act for the people who are seeking piety. When Hazrat Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam comes into Madinah Munawwara and he sees in Muharram, the first third of Muharram, on the 10th day, the Jews are doing what? They're fasting. Yes, why are you fasting? He said, because on this day, Hazrat Musa alayhi salam and Bani Israel were given victory or save from the Fir'aun. So fasting is an act of piety. It's been reserved for the people of piety, and it's there for life-changing events. For the individual who seeks closeness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we have to be people of fasting. And Allah ta'ala in the verse of fasting tells us that we can attain taqwa if we fast properly. So, iman and wahtisaban. For a person to fast properly, that person has to not just cut out these three things. Anything that can become a competition, a competitor between him or her and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that has to be cut out. Why? Because in the end, when we're talking about the body and soul coexisting together, as I mentioned, if the body is being deprived of those things that can distract from Allah, the soul also has to experience a type of deprivation, that which distracts from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this Ramadan, 4 things we should cut down, and I'll close with this. I had about 3 more things I wanted to mention. I'm not going to have time for it. I'm going to mention one of those 3 things at the end. But 4 things we want to cut. We have to reduce our consumption. Yes, Ramadan is the month of samosas and pakoras and everything else. And it's an enjoyable month. So I encourage everyone, and I didn't know what it meant to be Gujarati till I moved to Zambia. The savory is there, Allahu Akbar Kabira. I didn't know what a moon pie was before. I didn't know all these things. I didn't know these things existed. They had cookbooks that were made just for Ramadan treats. I don't know how people lose weight there. I mean, it was very tasty. Anyway, so cook those, make those, save them for other months. Yes, you can have 1 or 2 of them, but to have the nafs grow and become more excited to consume is antithetical to fasting. We have to eat less. We have to eat less. If we don't make it a point to eat less in the month of Ramadan, when the nafs is crushed, we're never going to eat less. The body becomes sick from it, but the soul also becomes sick from it. The second thing is we have to learn to speak less. Look, Ramadan is not a social month. It's a private month. Ramadan is culminated with i'tikaf, a time of privacy with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Thus, if someone in Ramadan, if we're going to eat in the masjid, alhamdulillah, sit down, say salam, eat. Finish the food, put it away, and come upstairs and begin to worship. How shameful it is for me to see myself in life spend more time speaking to the creation of Allah than the Creator. People spend 15 minutes eating iftar, but quick maghrib. SubhanAllah, the entire day we fasted for Allah, and then we won't even speak with Him. I ask any of you, it's your marriage night. You go to the room and say, I need a few minutes, I'm going to go hang out with my boys. No one's going to do that. Love of one person towards another causes connection. Love of the creation with Allah causes connection. We have to decrease our speech. We have to decrease our sleep. If we look at when do the lovers speak to one another, it's under the veil of the night. And even Allah Ta'ala says about Himself in Hadith Quds that He comes down to the lowest heaven. How that happens, we don't know. And finally, the company that distracts us from Allah, we have to cut that out in Ramadan. The last thing I wanted to mention, and I'm going to wrap up with this, is that do not be amongst those people, O Saad, I'm speaking to myself, that make promises only for Ramadan, with the intention to go back after Ramadan. Because that shows my Lord and your Lord that we're not worshipping Allah, we're worshipping Ramadan. Because for the sake of Ramadan, I left it. When Ramadan left, I went back to it. If we're afraid that it's something beneficial, then Allah Ta'ala will grant it for us in a better way in this life, in a halal way. And in Jannah we'll be able to get a greater manifestation of it. So I'll stop over here so Mufti Sahib can continue. We ask Allah Ta'ala to give us tawfiq to make us amongst those who are able to finally make this the 1 month in our lives where we can change ourselves forever. And we ask Allah Ta'ala to make this Ramadan the best Ramadan we've ever experienced, and every Ramadan after to be even better than this one. Wa akhiru da'wan alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. I have to go, barakallahu fiqh. I have to go back to Milwaukee, so I'm going to give a general salam, and I have to drive back an hour and a half. So, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
So inshallah, Shaykh. So inshallah, we know that Isha Salat is 10 o'clock, but inshallah I'm going to request everyone to sit tight until Mufti Sahib is done with his PowerPoint. If need be, we can inshallah push Isha a little forward. We'll give everyone enough time for wudu and sunnah also inshallah. So don't get restless once 9:45 rolls around. We can give a few extra minutes today for a special program inshallah. Jazakallah.
Is there somewhere to plug this in?
Yeah, I'll plug it.
Just in case.
Yeah, I'll plug it in over there.
Jazakallah.
Huh?
Okay, I still have some battery, and by the time. Okay. Alhamdulillah. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والعاقبة للمتقين والصلاة والسلام على رسوله الكريم وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين أما بعد. Respected brothers and elders and mothers and sisters in Islam, Alhamdulillah, Shaykh Saad Qadri very beautifully explained the spiritual aspect of Ramadan and how our how our mentality, how our mindset, our psyche should be in this month. What should we be thinking about? The second part of today's program is the actual fiqh of Ramadan, or the fiqh of fasting. Now both aspects are necessary that we understand, and we try to apply both aspects. One is the internal part, which has to do with our soul or ruh, and the second is our external part, that how it should be done. Just as in salah we need khushu and khudu, we need concentration, we need to make sure our heart is devoted in salah. Similarly, we also have to know the laws of salah. How do we pray? What do we do at which time? Both are necessary for that action to be accepted. If someone prays just the external of the salah, but his heart is not attached to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he's just doing the motions, technically the salah is finished, but the spirit of salah is not there. We don't know if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will accept and reward such an individual. Similarly, if someone has the good intentions of salah and he's concentrating, but he prayed without wudu, will that salah be accepted? It will not be accepted, right? Even though he's concentrating so deeply in salah, but after the salah finishes, he's like, oh man, I didn't have wudu. He has to repeat the entire salah, because the previous salah didn't get accepted. Inshallah, he'll get reward for his intention, but not for the salah, because the salah was not valid. So in the same way, fasting, we have the spiritual aspect of fasting and how our ruh is connected to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ, that we gain taqwa from it. That is the actual purpose of our fast. But for us to achieve that purpose, we have to make sure that our fast is valid, that we are performing our fast in a correct manner. So I will try not to digress as much as possible, because we do have shortage of time today. There's a definition of fast. What is sawm? Sawm in the Arabic language literally means to hold back, to prevent yourself. For example, in the Quran, when it comes and discusses about Maryam alayhi salam, and she's wondering that what will I say when I go back to my people? They will see this child. So the angel Jibreel teaches her that tell people that you are fasting for the sake of Rahman, and you're not going to talk to anyone today. So at that time, fasting was also about not to speak to anyone, to withhold, to prevent oneself from anything is called fasting. But now in Islam, in the Sharia, there's a very specific meaning when we say sawm. In the Arabic language, the definition will be هو الإمساك نهارا عن إدخال شيء عمدا أو خطأ بطنا أو ما له حكم الباطن وعن شهوة الفرج بنية من أهله. So what is that's a very complex sentence, and every single word in the definition is important, and this entire presentation is just to explain this now. So the entire presentation, we're going to talk about what is fasting. Okay, so what is it? It is to abstain from naharan. So what is nahar? What is day? From true dawn, from the time fajr starts until sunset. Until the sun sets. So day Islamically starts when we have dawn, not when the sun rises, but when dawn begins. That's why layl ends at fajr. For tahajjud salah is performed before the fajr time slots. Salatul layl or qiyamul layl, it's only considered to be qiyamul layl if it's done before fajr. So as soon as fajr starts, it's no longer layl. So from true dawn until sunset. So what is it? From entering anything deliberately or by mistake. It means even if it's done by mistake, it's still incorrect. So deliberately or by mistake into the stomach, and that which is in the ruling of the stomach, and we'll talk about that. And to abstain from sexual gratification with intention. With intention is important. It means if someone does all this, but he doesn't have the intention, he's on a diet. So he decided, I'm not going to eat today, I'm not going to drink today. But he never intended to fast. It's not ibadat. He just stayed hungry. It doesn't fall in the scope of sawm, as mentioned in Islam. So intention is necessary for a person who is able to make that intention. There are certain individuals whose intention will not be valid. Even if they have intention, it still will not count as a fast. So each of these points we're going to talk about in detail now. So first of all, when does fast become compulsory upon an individual? The fast becomes compulsory upon a person by, number one, either sighting the moon. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, فَمَنْ شَهِدَ مِنْكُمُ الشَّهْرَ فَلْيَصُمْ. Whomsoever witnesses the month of Ramadan, فَلْيَصُمْ, then he shall fast, he should fast. So fasting is prescribed for a person who witnesses the month of Ramadan. So if he does not witness the month of Ramadan, fasting is not farad upon that individual, means it's not Ramadan yet. So how does a month of Ramadan come into the calendar, or how is it established? Number one, by sighting the moon. By sighting the moon means not every individual has to sight the moon, means a group of Muslims, they have to sight the moon, and that is sufficient for the entire Muslim community. But it has to be sighted by the naked eye. And number two, passing of 30 days means if, let's say, it's a cloudy night and you're not able to see, or all the Muslims went out to look at the moon but they were not able to see the crescent, then when 30 days pass, because there is no such thing as a 31-day month in Islam. The maximum you could get in a month is 30 days. So automatically, when 30 days finish, the next month begins. So there's only two ways you could establish a month coming to existence. Number one is sighting the moon, and number two, 30 days finishing. The Prophet ﷺ, in a narration of Muslims, the Prophet ﷺ said, "Sumu li ru'yatihi." Commence your fast. Start your fast liru'yatihi, when you sight, by seeing, by witnessing the moon. Liru'yatihi wa afdiru, and then stop fasting, means the month ends. Stop fasting liru'yatihi, when you sight the moon again, means the moon of Eid. But the next part of the hadith is very important. Many people tend to oversee the second part. Everyone understands the first part. Okay, we have to sight the moon to start the fast, and we have to end fasting when we sight the moon again. But the Prophet ﷺ, in the second part, he says, فَإِنْ غُمِّيَ عَلَيْكُمْ فَأَكْمِلُوا الْعَدَدَ. If it is cloudy, if the moon is behind clouds, فَإِنْ أُغْمِيَ عَلَيْكُمْ means you're not able to see. The Prophet ﷺ did not say that if the moon is not in existence, or if the moon is not born. Means the moon is there, but you're not able to see it because of clouds. So the moon is in existence, right? You're able to see it if it was a clear day, but you're not able to see it because of clouds. So what is the command of the Prophet ﷺ? فَأَكْمِلُوا الْعَدَدَ, then complete the month and make it into 30 days. The Prophet ﷺ did not say that, oh, if the moon is born, then you guys start fasting. You don't have to look at it. No, the moon is there. You're able to see it. However, فَإِنْ هُمِّ عَلَيْكُمْ, but you're not able to see it because of clouds. That shows that he's saying that it is possible to see it if it wasn't clouds, but you're not able to see it because it's cloudy. Then too, the month has not commenced. The month is not commenced. فَأَكْمِلُوا الْعَدَدَ, you have to complete the previous month's days and make it 30. So that's why it starts by the sighting of the moon and it will end by the sighting of the moon. Or also second is the passing of 30 days. 1 second, my computer seems to have frozen. Huh? Technical difficulties, brothers. There you go. I think it's because it's connected Wi-Fi to the projector, so it's going a little bit slow. Okay, so the next slide, I'm assuming, I haven't memorized it. So the next slide is upon whom fasting is compulsory. So there are three individuals. Number one, the first condition is that they must be a Muslim. So fasting is compulsory only on Muslims. In fact, it's only valid if you're a Muslim. If a non-Muslim fasts in solidarity with the Muslims, it's good. They have good intentions, but we won't label that. We won't call that as if they're fasting Islamically. It's just they're imitating the Muslims' fast. So it is necessary that they be Muslims. Number two is the person must be baligh. The individual must be baligh. And bulugh in Islam, maturity in Islam, is not the same maturity as we have in the normal field of psychology, where a person has some type of sense, he's mature in thought now. Maturity in Islam is a physical phenomenon that takes place when a boy experiences his first nocturnal emission or a wet dream, they become baligh. Or if a woman experiences the first menstruation, they become baligh. And if they do not experience this for a long time, then when they reach the age of 15, Islamically, automatically they'll be considered to be baligh. Okay, so at the age of 15, everyone automatically becomes baligh. Please bear with me on the projector. For some reason, I'm going to restart my computer and hopefully it works. Huh? Yeah, inshallah. And the third condition is that they must be sane, sanity. If a person is not sane, it means they have some mental disabilities and they cannot differentiate between what's good and bad for them, what is beneficial for them, what is harmful for them, then too they're absolved from the ruling of fasting. The laws of Sharia do not apply to such individuals, means fasting is not compulsory upon such beings. So if an individual has any type of mental difficulties, they're not able, but now as far as mental sicknesses, there are different degrees of mental illnesses. So if someone just has a slight form of mental sickness, maybe they're autistic, but they can differentiate between good and bad, beneficial and harmful, then fasting will still be, there will still be due upon that individual. Just 1 second, brothers. Do you have a person who's good in this? For some reason, my computer is frozen and is not picking up the...
Oh.
Okay.
If you restart that application that you downloaded?
I can't even access anything. Is there a way to force restart it?
Yes. It's a Surface Pro, right?
Yeah, Surface Pro.
Yes, sorry.
So there's buttons over here on top.
Okay. You can also do it through your phone, so if you have it on Google or something.
Let me at least open up that so at least I could do. Let's see, where is it? It's in my Dropbox.
There you go.
Presentations. Okay, first let's me turn on the PowerPoint. Okay, and the application is it's saying it's not found.
Automatic search.
HDMI कोड है मेरे पास, चाहिए तो यहाँ पे लगाना पड़ेगा लेकिन ऊपर से it's not connecting. This is a new projector and a new screen, so we're still getting used to the setup here. ठीक है. So I'm going to continue and feel free, you guys could work on this. I'll just do it off my phone. So there'll be no visual aid until they set it up, but until then I'll try to explain it to the best of my ability. So what are the conditions for the fast to become valid? So one is, we know that what are the conditions for keeping a fast? A person must be a Muslim, they must be mature, and they must be sane. In fact, these three conditions are for all the rules of Sharia. All the rules of Islam, they're applicable only on Muslims. Means a non-Muslim does not have to follow Sharia, because they're not Muslims yet. So you could apply this and use your own now intellect to see where can we apply this. For example, to touch the Quran and hold the Quran with wudu, that is a condition that a person must be in a state of wudu to touch the Quran, right? But this is a ruling of Sharia that's applicable to Muslims. So does a non-Muslim have to be in a state of wudu to touch the Quran? No, they do not have to be in a state of wudu, because why? The rules of Sharia do not apply to non-Muslim. The only thing that is due upon a Muslim, The only thing that is due upon a non-Muslim, is to accept Islam. Once they come in the scope of Islam, once they come in the field of Islam, then all the rulings of Islam will be applicable upon them. Same way with maturity and same way with sanity. So condition for the validity of the fast. Now we know that, okay, a person is baligh, is a Muslim, is sane, but when will the fast become valid and be accepted? Number one, they must have intention. Means a person does not have intention to fast. He wakes up, he does suhoor, but he doesn't have intention to fast. He says, I'm just waking up with my family and I'm going to go back to sleep. The fast doesn't count. They have to have a intention in the heart that they want to fast. So what is intention? Intention is fi'lul qalb, is action of the heart. That in the heart you must know that I am going to fast. That's all. You don't have to verbally say anything. Many individuals think that, if I don't verbally say it, my fast doesn't count. My fast doesn't count. So verbally, you don't necessarily have to say anything. In fact, if you wake up for sahri with the intention to fast, that's your intention right there, that you woke up for sahri. Why did you wake up? Because I wanted to fast. So it's automatically involved when you wake up for sahri. Number two is a person or a woman must be free from menstruation and postnatal bleeding, means from hayd and nifas. Means while they're in their hayd and nifas, their fasting will not be valid. So what are the pillars of fasting? The pillars of fasting are, number one, to abstain from eating, means any solid food to go down your throat. Number two, abstain from drinking, means any liquid to go down your throat. And number three is to abstain from sexual gratification, and there are different forms of this. We'll discuss certain ones. जी इसको मैं डाल देता हूँ, USB में डाल देते हैं. जी
You say you don't have to be saved by the tongue for fasting, so why this dua is for Bisawmi Gadan Nawaitu an Ramadan?
That dua, actually, I tried to look, so the dua that I intend to fast for tomorrow, that dua I tried to look for in the books of hadith and I couldn't find it. That dua itself is just the Arabic translation, means I intend to fast tomorrow. The breaking fast is actually found in narrations. The dua for breaking the fast is found in narration, but the dua for intending to fast, I couldn't find it. If it's there, then if someone else finds it, good. But I tried to look for the actual wording to start the fast. All it is the Arabic translation that I intend to fast tomorrow for the sake of Allah. That's all it is. It's a translation of that. So it is good to verbally say it. Why? Because it confirms the heart. Some people that have these type of feelings that they're not sure what they're thinking in the heart, am I fasting? So when they verbally say it, it strengthens what's in the heart. So there's no harm in saying it verbally, but what I'm trying to say is that if you don't say it verbally, your fast is still valid. Because niyyah is not something of the tongue. Niyyah is in the heart. That's what intention means.
But it is saying tomorrow.
Huh?
It is saying tomorrow.
Ji.
Whereas you are right now in the sahur. This is today.
Yes.
So that is, technically it is wrong. Right?
You could say that technically the translation is wrong. Yeah.
Technically the translation is wrong.
But again, there's no harm in saying that because everyone knows what is intended from that. Okay. Now let's continue. Hopefully we won't have any technical difficulties now. So the principles of breaking fast means when does the fast break? How does a fast break? So we know what fast means, to abstain from eating, drinking, and sexual gratification. But how would a person's fast break? Number one, so these are some principles I'm just going to teach you. Now this whole PowerPoint is I want to equip you with information that you're able to guide yourself. So there are going to be a lot of principles that we're going to discuss, and then you should be able to think of your own scenarios and come to an answer. So a substance, any substance from the outside that enters the body. We have to see, number one, how did it enter the body? Number two, we have to also understand where did it end up in the body. So one is it enters the body, one is where did it end up in the body. And number three, this third principle is very important, that fiqh is based on principles, it's not based on emotions. So if you're emotionally, you feel that I don't think this is correct, it doesn't matter what you think and feel. What matters is what is the actual fiqh. What is the actual ruling? So we have to put emotions aside for a while and understand it through the laws of Islam. And the second principle, that any sexual relationship that you have will break your fast. So what is a substance? A substance that can invalidate the fast, let me make this bigger, that can invalidate the fast is anything that has a discernible body. Anything that you could see with your naked eye, has the physical properties to it, that is called a shay. That is a thing. Means if you're going to have to use a microscope and to see it, and that's the only way you're able to see it, then you don't take that into consideration. It's what you could see with your naked eye. Okay? So the size of the substance is of no immediate consideration. It's very minute. It's a mustard seed. A mustard seed. It's very small. But you can still see it. It still has a body. That will break your fast. Okay? As long as something that's normally visible. Number two, it is of no consequence whether or not the substance has nutritional or medicinal value. Means if it's something that is not normally food, you popped in a pebble, you took a pebble off the street and you put it in your mouth, there's no nutritional value to it, neither does any medicinal value to it, but it is something, it is an object, it went down the throat, that will break your fast. Okay? Number three, a sensation in the mouth doesn't necessarily mean that a substance has entered the mouth. Just because you taste something doesn't mean something physically went in your mouth. And this will make sense when we talk about specific scenarios. And smelling something, just the mere scent of something does not necessarily entail that a substance entered the nose. A lot of people ask that, can I smell ittar? I could smell it, it's going in my nose, will that break my fast? No. Just smelling something, smelling a rose, a flower, smelling ittar, that is not something that is physical that is going in your nose. Yes, if smoke or steam, that if you take deliberately inside and then you sniff it in, that will break your fast. Okay? Because that has, even though it's very latif and it's very transparent, you could say, but it still has a physical body that you could see. And that is going in your nose, and you deliberately take it in, that will break your fast. Okay? So the mere smelling of something or having a scent, that doesn't break your fast. It must be a substance. So the place, where can the thing reach? In order for the fast to invalidate, the substance one must reach the digestive system of the body. And in the context of Islam, in Islamic fiqh, Islamic jurisprudence, what does the digestive system compose of? Number one is your throat or your esophagus. Number two is your stomach. And number three is intestines. Your intestines. So these three things make up your digestive system. So if anything goes down your throat, if it goes in your stomach, or it goes in your intestines, that contains that has gone inside your batin, your button, and your fast will break. But if it doesn't go directly into these places, then it doesn't. So now, what are some natural or non-natural entry points, and how can something go inside your body? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made our body such that we have these natural holes in our bodies. We have the mouth, the nose, the ears, the eyes, the anus, the vagina, and the urinal passage. So these are natural holes that we have. And then we have non-natural holes, which we call someone has a deep injury to the head. Means an artificial hole was made. It wasn't natural, but it was caused artificially. Or a deep injury to the stomach. Or the pores on your skin. From the pores on your skin, even though they're minute holes, but we won't take that minute holes into consideration, so we won't call that a natural hole, that normally how you take things inside the body. Okay? So the principle to understand here is the entry point that is directly linked to the digestive. That's the key word. If it's directly linked to the digestive system, and we said the digestive system is three, right? The throat, the stomach, and the intestines. If it directly goes into these three things, if any of those holes are directly linked, then that will invalidate the fast. And if it's not directly linked to the system, or is not linked at all, then they will not invalidate the fast. This is the main principle that you need to learn. If it directly comes to the digestive system, if it's directly linked to the digestive system, your fast will break. And if it indirectly or is not related at all to the digestive system, then the fast will not break. It will not invalidate. So now let's bring all those entry points we talked about and let's discuss whether it is connected to the digestive system or not. Number one, the mouth. Obviously, the mouth is connected to the digestive system. That's where you take your food in and make it go into your stomach. So it's directly connected to the throat. So anything that goes down the mouth will break your fast. Number two, your nose. Your nose is connected to your nasal cavity, and the nasal cavity then connects to your throat. So that is connected to your throat, and I said throat is part of your digestive system. That's why if anything goes down your nose, your fast breaks. That's why if you have those nasal inhalers, that will break your fast. Number three is your ears. Now, in the old days, people thought that ears are directly connected to the digestive system. So if you were to open the old books of fiqh, and not even so old, if you open books of fiqh like 50 years ago, or even 20 years ago, they would say that putting medicine in your ears will break your fast, because that is connected to your digestive system. However, modern medicine explains that there is no connection from the ears to your digestive system. The only way it will be connected if the eardrum is punctured or if it's damaged and there's a hole in it, then perhaps it could go through. But on normal ears, there is no way from things to go from your ears to your digestive system. And because fiqh is the fiqh of fasting is related to the human body. Is related to the human body. That's why whatever the latest research regarding the human body is going to affect the rulings of fasting as well. So whatever was the research in the past regarding the human body, that's how the rulings were made. But since the science of medicine is always advancing and people come to know new information regarding the human body, if the research has changed and the information that we have has changed, the ruling will also change. So that's why the contemporary fuqaha and the contemporary muftis, they say that if you put anything in the ears, that will not invalidate your fast, because it's not connected to the digestive system. Okay? So it will not. So don't get confused. They say Mufti Sahib in the masjid said that ear doesn't break your fast. But look at this fiqh book. Ta'limul Haq says it breaks it. I'm explaining you why the old books say it and why the contemporary muftis now disagree with that. Okay? It's based upon current research. Number four is the eyes. Even though the eyes have these small little pores, that technically you could take things inside, but that is not considered a digestive, connected to digestive thing Islamically. The reason why is the Prophet ﷺ, he would apply surma or kuhl in his eyes. And those that have experience in this, when you apply kohl, sometimes you find a taste in your mouth or the blackness in your mouth. You spit it out. So some things can go down, but that's not considered Islamically because of the narration of the Prophet ﷺ. So this is an exception. So that's why eyes will not be considered to be a normal passage for things to go down your digestive system. Therefore, if someone puts eye drops in his ears, his fast will not break. They will not break. Okay. Number 5 is the anus. It does have a direct connection to the intestines. That's why if you have suppositories or medicine that you have to take through the anus, that will break your fast because it is connected to the digestive system. After that is the female private organ. That is not connected to the digestive system. It is not. In the past, again, they thought it was. So you find many older books of fiqh saying that if a woman were to insert something in her privates, the fast will break. If it's a foreign object, the fast will break. But in current understanding is that it is not connected to the stomach. It's not. The womb or the private organ, the vagina, is separate. There's no connection to it, a direct connection to it. That's why if now in today's time, if a woman was to go for a checkup or pap smear or something like that, her fast will not break. the urinal passages, it is not directly connected to the digestive system in such a manner that it is a one-way passage. It's not possible to send something up towards the digestive system. A deep head injury. So a deep head injury, in the old days, in the time of the Sahaba and the Tabi'een, they say that the stomach or the dimagh, they use two words. If anything enters the stomach or the dimagh, the brain. So in normal situations, you cannot have anything enter the brain. It means if you sniff something in your nose, it doesn't enter the brain. It just goes to your nasal cavity and down to your throat. The only way something could enter the brain or the membrane is if there is a deep injury and the skull is fractured, and then something goes inside. That's the only way. So that's why if it's just a normal injury to the head, your fast does not break unless the skull fractures. Then the medicine that goes through after the skull fractures to the brain, that will break the fast. Deep abdominal injury means if someone has a deep injury in the stomach, so deep that it directly connects to the stomach or the intestines, and then something was to go in, that will break the fast. But just a normal cut on the stomach will not. And the last one is pores, that is not connected directly to the digestive system. It goes into your bloodstream, and then through your bloodstream, it goes to the rest of the body. So that's why nicotine patches, or the pain patches, you get these Bengay and icy hot patches if someone's in pain, and there's medicine in it that is sucked in through the pores, and a person feels comfort through that. So even though something's entering the body, but is not directly entering the digestive system, that's why they will not invalidate the fast. So now I will ask you just a few questions. Let's see if someone could answer that. If someone were to take an IV, let's say they feel dehydrated, they go to the hospital and they put them on the drips, and they have an IV. Will that break the fast or not? No. Some people are saying yes, some saying no. Those who say yes, why? So is it directly going to the digestive system? No. So that's why it doesn't break. Even though you are getting energy, you're getting nutrition, you're getting strength from that, right? And it goes against the spirit of fasting. So if someone does it without a valid reason, obviously he's going against the spirit of fasting and he's cheating the system. But technically, on a fiqh ruling, his fast doesn't break. His fast is still valid. So if you do it without a valid reason, you probably won't get reward, right? But will the fast count? Yes, it will count. If someone draws blood or takes in blood or someone has dialysis, will that break the fast? No, they will not break the fast. But most likely they shouldn't fast because they're going to be very sick and tired and they won't have any strength. It's very good.
How about insulin?
So yes, it's the same thing. Insulin or any type of medicine you take through an injection, that does not break your fast because it doesn't enter your digestive system directly. See, these are key points that we need to understand. So now, let's talk about excuses. What is excused? I mean, things that do go down the stomach, do go in the digestive system, but still too it is forgiven or it does not break the fast. So these are exceptions to the rule. Number one is forgetfulness. If someone forgot totally that he is fasting, he doesn't realize he's fasting. And this normally occurs on the first, second, third day of Ramadan. They have a habit that they're at work, they go next to the water fountain, they take a sip and carry on. So they do that every day. It's the first of Ramadan, he goes by the water fountain, drinks it, and only after like, oh man, it's Ramadan, I forgot I'm fasting. He forgot he's fasting. So that is excuse. And there's a narration of Abu Hurairah radiallahu ta'ala anhu that he comes to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and said, "O Prophet of Allah, I have eaten nasiyan. I forgot I was fasting." The Prophet ﷺ said that your fast is still valid. It is Allah that has fed you and made you to drink. So if someone, but the key word here is nasiyan. He forgot that he was fasting, not khata'an. So what is the difference between khata and nisyan? Nisyan means you totally forget that you're in the state of fasting. You totally forget that you're in fasting, and you could eat a whole meal. Okay, you could go to Mr. Brost and eat an entire meal nicely, and afterwards you realize, oh no, I was fasting, I forgot. You're still in a state of fast. You're still in a state of fast. You don't have to worry. But breaking a mistake means you're aware. You're aware, you're conscious that you're in the state of fast, but accidentally something goes down your throat. So you're doing wudu. You're doing wudu. You know it's Ramadan. You know you're fasting. And you put water in your mouth, and you take it too far down, and some drops trickle down your throat. And you feel it going down your throat. You knew you were fasting. Did you take the water down purposely? No, it was a mistake. It was an honest mistake. But it was khata. It was a mistake. That does break your fast. That does break your fast. So a mistake, your fast breaks. But if you forgot, then it doesn't. So if you're, for example, you drink, or someone forces you, let's say like in China, there are certain parts of China where the Muslims want to fast, but they're forced to have lunch so they don't fast. They're forced. The government deliberately makes them eat that you have to eat lunch. It's a forceful act. So did they purposely eat? No. They were forced to do it. They didn't want to. But they were conscious that they're fasting, so their fast will break. Their fast will break. It's not excused. Okay? So that's the difference between nisyan and khata. Yes, if someone forgot that they were fasting and they're eating, and halfway through they remember, that doesn't give you permission to finish up that meal. Okay? Like, oh, it's okay, I already ate halfway, and israf is haram, I shouldn't waste, so might as well finish it. No, you have to stop eating. Okay? As soon as you remember that you're fasting, you have to stop. If there's a morsel in your mouth, take it out. Don't finish chewing it and take it in. Then your fast will break. Okay? Number 2, food that is stuck between the teeth and it is less than a chickpea. Okay? It's less than a chickpea. So, and this is something that we understand that is hard to avoid. Not everyone carries a floss around or a toothpick around, and they probably ate something right before Fajr starts in Sahri time. Sahri time started, and they have something stuck in your teeth, and then it lodges, and then it goes down in your throat. But if it's small, that is excuse, because that is unavoidable. However, if it's larger than a chickpea, so I always say, if you have food larger than a chickpea stuck in your teeth, then you need to go see a dentist. Okay? Because you shouldn't have that much food stuck between your teeth. But yes, if the food is more than a chickpea size, your fast will break. That's food. That's proper food you're eating now. Okay? Number 3, very small substance that enters in the mouth and it disappears. Certain foods, they're so delicate and so small that it just comes on the tongue and it disappears. And you're trying to find it, spit it out, nothing comes out. That is also excused. Okay? Number 4, things that are unavoidable. Means you did wudu, you gargled it out, but some moisture remains in the mouth. Now if you're going to sit there and try to spit out all the water until it becomes completely dry, that's very difficult. So that moisture that remains after wudu, that is excused. Number 2 is mucus. Mucus, it's in the mouth, it's in the nose, and it happens to go down the throat, that is excused, that's already internal. Number 3 is saliva. Saliva, even though it's in the mouth, there are many people here when they were young, they thought that saliva you cannot take down in your throat. So the entire day they're spitting out their saliva. This is a misunderstanding. It's more found, I think, in the Gujarati culture for some reason. So yeah, don't carry on a bottle and start spitting. It's really nasty, actually. So you shouldn't be doing that, okay? Saliva, if it goes down your throat, nothing happens. That's natural. Number 4 is bugs. If a bug, you're yawning and a fly goes in your mouth and goes down your throat, okay? That is unavoidable, okay? Number 5, dust. There's a dust storm outside or dust particles enter your mouth, that's excused. And number 6 is smoke or steam that enters in the mouth without inhaling. So you're walking, let's say you're in an area where people are smoking, is a smoking area, and secondhand smoke comes in your nose. You didn't deliberately take a whiff inside, okay? You didn't sniff it. But you passed by the area, and obviously some smoke is going to enter your nose or your mouth. But since you did not deliberately take it in, your fast does not break, because that's unavoidable. I need to move faster. Okay, what is not an excuse? Khata, if it's by a mistake or an accident. Number 2, invalidating due to necessity. Let's say someone becomes extremely sick, and he breaks the fast. Fine, he had to break the fast because of a sickness, but it still breaks. It still breaks. Number 3, unaware or ignorance. If you thought that, I didn't know this ruling, I didn't know that this breaks my fast, well, ignorance is not an excuse. Number 4 is sleeping. If in sleep something enters the mouth, someone puts water in your mouth while you're sleeping, that will still break. Number 5, unconsciousness, same ruling as sleeping. Number 6 is insanity. Someone has temporarily insanity. Keep in mind, permanent insanity, the person is excused from fasting, but let's say he loses his senses for an hour. Okay, and while he's in that state of temporary insanity, he happens to have something go down his throat, that will still break his fast. And number 7, being forced to break the fast. Okay, now I have a list here, but keep the principles that we did in mind to understand it. Since we understand the principle, we will just read the list and you should be able to understand why it doesn't break. Okay, things that do not break the fast, we talked about forgetfulness. A wet dream or discharge by thought or sight. If someone has his bodily fluids, sperm coming out of his body, whether it be a wet dream, let's say he went to sleep after Fajr, because Fajr is so early now, he needed more time to sleep before he goes to work or school. And while he went to sleep, he had a wet dream. That does not invalidate the fast. He just has to take a shower, but his fast is still valid. Similarly, if someone has a discharge by looking at something or by thinking of something, and because of that, his bodily fluids came out, that also does not break the fast. However, if he was physically involved, he touched something, okay, or he touched his body, he masturbated, and because of that, the bodily fluids came out, the fast will break them. Rubbing lotion or oil on the skin, this is through the pores, we know that doesn't break. Deodorant also is through the pores, that doesn't break. Applying Vicks on the body, even though there's a very strong scent, but it's not smoke, right? That's why Vicks doesn't break your fast, okay? Lip balm. Lip balm is permissible, however, if you're going to continuously lick it, and then the substance, the physical substance is going to go down your throat, your fast will break. If it comes on your tongue only and you taste it, because you get cherry flavor, chocolate flavor, etc., lip balm, and you're tasting it, so taste something without a valid reason in Ramadan while fasting is makruh. So be very careful with lip balms. Intending to break the fast, but not actually breaking it. Someone is really tired. He started the fast. 12 o'clock comes and says, okay, I intend to break the fast. And he makes an intention in his heart that, okay, my fast is broken. Just by intending to break the fast doesn't break. You have to do something physically to break the fast. Smoke entering into the throat without intention. We talked about this. Dust entering the throat. Fly or insect entering the throat. The tasting of food without entering the throat. Now this, to taste the food on your tongue, it didn't enter the throat, it just stayed on your tongue, right? So that doesn't break your fast. However, to do it without a valid reason is makruh, is highly disliked, okay? The only time it should be permissible is if a person has an abusive spouse. Let's say the husband is the cook of the house, okay? And the wife is very abusive on the husband. And if the cooking is not right, if the salt is not right in the food, the wife is going to really take him to task. And he's afraid. He's really afraid, okay? So if he just tastes the food very carefully to make sure the salt content is okay on the food, that would be permissible for them. Normally it's for the woman, but we live in the Western world, right? So we have to give the other example as well. Waking up in the state of impurity. If someone wakes up in a state of impurity, before, let's say at the time of suhoor, he had to take a shower, but there's very little time. So he ate first. He wanted to eat some sahri first. And now the day started. So the day started while he's in a state of janabat. That's still okay. He just needs to take a shower. Water or medicine entering the ears or the eyes. We talked about this. Applying surma, kohol to the eyes. Swallowing phlegm or taking it in by the nose, mucus. Swallowing saliva, vomiting unintentionally, that also doesn't break it. Chewing without swallowing, if someone just happens, like, people have a habit of chewing on the rubber of a pencil and they're chewing it. So it didn't go down the throat yet, it's just in the mouth. So that technically it doesn't break the fast. However, to chew without a reason, it's makruh still. It's still makruh, right? But we're talking about whether the fast breaks or not. So as long as it doesn't go down the throat, the fast will not break. Eating food large in one's mouth as long as less than chickpea. Pouring water on oneself to cool the body. Through the pores, the body might feel cold, but that's still okay. Bathing while fasting, as long as water doesn't go down the mouth and the nose. If someone takes a bath or someone goes swimming, that's permissible, as long as the water does not go inside the digestive system, okay? Using a miswak, that's actually encouraged. The Prophet ﷺ said the best characteristics of a fasting person is a miswak. Is miswak. So to use a miswak, to take injections or insulin, that does not break the fast because it doesn't directly go inside the digestive system. We talked about IVs, we talked donating blood. It is permissible to donate blood. However, if donating blood is going to make you weak and you're not going to be able to continue the rest of the fast, then it's not permissible for you to donate blood. Why? Because it's going to affect your ibadat. We talk about injections, extracting blood, drawing blood, blood test, nicotine patches, pain patches, they go through your pores. See, all of this becomes so easy now once you understand the principle. Emergence of madhi. Madhi is a substance that comes out. Okay, just one small announcement, and I am going to hurry up for the last few.
Inshallah, so today is an exceptional day, inshallah, alhamdulillah, we're having a great session for Ramadan, and so inshallah those brothers who are just coming in, we'll give Mufti Sahib some more time, inshallah, to run through the important aspects of this Ramadan prep program. So inshallah we'll delay Isha considerably, inshallah, but please bear with us and be patient, Allah will reward you, inshallah.
So this is a substance that comes out normally before a person has, before the sperm comes out for certain individuals, but is not in the same ruling as that. That's why the fast doesn't break. Bleeding gums, if someone has a sickness in the gums and the gums are bleeding, that does not break the fast either. That's an excuse. There's a lot of things that do not break the fast that actually break the fast. Okay? But because of our cultural understanding, sometimes we assume the fast is broken, but it's not. If we do acupuncture, contact lenses, for some reason, some people thought that breaks the fast. Applying makeup on, that doesn't break the fast. Backbiting, even though backbiting in the Quran and Hadith is equated to eating the flesh of your dead brother. But it's not actually eating the flesh of your dead brother, right? So that's why it doesn't break the fast. According to some madhab, it does. But majority of the fuqaha say that backbiting, it does take the barakah and the blessing, the spirituality of the fast away, because you're involved in a major sin. But it doesn't break the fast technically. If you have a vaginal examination, that doesn't break your fast. Things that break the fast and kafara is necessary. So, and I'll explain what kafara is. If someone deliberately eats or drinks that which is a form of nourishment or medicine, that you have to take the whole package together, okay? Only then kafara is necessary. You eat something that is of food, normal nourishment, or it's medicine. Or you drink something that is normal food or medicine. And you do it deliberately, forcing yourself to break your fast without an excuse. Without an excuse. Then kafara is necessary. Or if someone has intercourse with their spouse, then too kafara will become necessary. What is kafara? That means fasting for 2 consecutive months or feeding people, 60 people, 2 meals. A person has to fast for 2 months, 60 days. Only if he's not able to fast for 60 days, then he could feed 60 individuals. Okay? However, if someone eats because he's forced to, or someone eats something that is not of nutritional value, or something that's not normal food, then only the fast breaks, but kafara does not become necessary. Yes, only one day. So the kafara is, there's a concept, it's called tadakhul in Islam. So if someone has multiple fasts that they purposely broke, you could combine all of them and give one kafara in lieu of all of them. Even multiple Ramadan of the past. So let's say in 2002, 2003, 2004, 2005, every year, one day you purposely broke your fast for some reason, okay? You broke it. So you have a lot of kafaras. Technically, if you count all that, it should be a separate kafara for each year or each fast. But Islam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is very merciful that in fiqh you have a kind of tadakhul that one kafara will suffice for all of those, okay? But it does not suffice for future breaking of fast, okay? Things that absolve kafara. Let's say kafara becomes due upon an individual. Let's say a woman, she broke her fast purposely, without a valid reason, and then later on the day she experienced menstruation. Or she gave birth to a child and she experienced nifas. Then the kafara becomes absolved. Why? Because such a thing occurred in the day that would have broken her fast anyway. Okay? Similarly, if person, kafara was due upon the person, but later on they became so sick that it would have been permissible for them to break the fast, then the sickness will absolve that kafara also. Things that qadha do, mistakenly breaking the fast. We know that the fast breaks, but no kafara because it's not deliberate. Eating anything which is not a form of nourishment, medicine, or not normally eaten, like raw rice, dough, paper, pebbles, metal. However, cookie dough in today's time is normally eaten now, right? People eat cookie dough, you got cookie dough ice cream, etc. So that's a normal meal or normal food. So cookie dough will necessitate kafara. Okay? Suppositories, only qadha, no kafara. Medicine taken through the nose, water going down the throat while sleeping, intentionally swallowing vomit, eating things that is, thinking that it's still sahur time when it's not. You thought that I still have time, but your clock is broken and it's stuck on a certain time, but the time passed. So technically your fast is broken because you ate after the time started. But it was by mistake. That's why only kafara. Only qada. Breaking the fast thinking the sun has set when it's not. Let's say you have a child practicing the adhan on the mic. So he goes and practice Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Oh, everyone thinks the fast broke. Let's eat. And then someone comes, sorry brothers, that was my son practicing the adhan. We still have 10 more minutes. Right? But those that broke their fast thinking that Maghrib started, their fast broke. So there's only qada. There's no kafara. If someone has ejaculation either by kissing, caressing, or self-induced, only qada, no kafara. Smoke entering the throat, eating out of forgetfulness, and then thinking the fast broke, so you eat purposely. Someone thought that, oh, my fast broke. They thought the fast broke, and now say, okay, my fast is broken, let me just eat. So now they ate. Okay, so the first time the fast didn't break, but the second time they ate, it did break. But the second time was done by mistake. It wasn't purposely done. They actually thought that they're no longer fasting. So that's why only qada. Not to start a fast at all. Someone doesn't have intention, so they don't fast. So they only have to do qada, no kafara. If you take asthma pumps, inhalers, toothpaste entering the throat, smoking voluntarily, smoking does break your fast. A person, those that have to remain and make the tashabbuh of a person fasting means your fast break, but you still have to abstain from eating and drinking and everything else. A person who breaks his fast broke, but for the rest of the day he should still pretend he's fasting. A woman who becomes pure from her hayd and nifas, then for the rest of the day they should act like they're still fasting. And a person who becomes baligh during the day, then for the rest of the day they should still make the tashabbuh, and they should copy a person who's fasting, and a person who becomes Muslim after the day started. Disliked acts, I'm sorry, I'm going very fast, but we do this every year, so it's just a reminder, it's like a refresher. To taste anything is makruh as long as it doesn't go down the throat. To chew on anything as long as it doesn't go down the throat, means if it goes down the throat, the fast will break. If it doesn't go down the throat, it's makruh. To kiss or fondle, to gather saliva and then swallow it to quench the dryness of your throat, that is also makruh. What is preferable, what is mustahab in fasting is to eat sahri. The Prophet ﷺ, there is barakah in the suhoor. There is barakah in the suhoor. That's why you should wake up, have, even it may be just one date, but to have sahri, there's barakah and there's mustahab, and not to delay the iftar. Someone says, I want to fast for 10 more minutes and make it longer, so it's more ibadah. That's actually disliked. As soon as the time of Maghrib starts, you should break your fast. Valid excuses for missing a fast: if someone is on a journey, someone is temporarily sick, if it's permanent sickness, then you have fidya. Pregnancy, and if pregnancy is going to affect the fast, life-threatening hunger or thirst, old age or weakness, they're also excused from fasting, or a breastfeeding mother who fears her own health or the health of the child, and a doctor actually says that, yeah, you shouldn't fast, it's going to affect your health and the child's health, then they're excused from fasting, but they have to make up the fast on a different day. Rules pertaining old sickness. A Sheikh Fani, okay? This is not some grand sheikh, his name is Fani. Sheikh Fani means a person who is Fani, he's about to perish. That's what fana means. He's about to perish. He's very old. He has no ability to fast. Not right now, neither in the winter days when the days are shorter. It means he just cannot fast. He has no ability to fast in the future at all. Okay? That's called a Sheikh Fani. So then such a person has to give fidya. However, if a person cannot fast in the summer days because it's 16 hours, but they are able to fast in the winter days when it's only 12 hours, then they cannot give fidya. They have to fast in winter days. They have to fast in winter days. Because why? Fidya is only for that individual who cannot fast at all in the future. Not now, nor after 6 months. Okay? So many people don't understand this. So they think, oh, I have a sickness, 16 hours is too long, I'll just give fidya this year. No, you will have to fast in December then, because you're able to fast in December. Okay? The amount of fidya is equal to Sadaqatul Fitr. In Ramadan, they'll have a box saying what the amount of Sadaqatul Fitr is. So each day's fast is equal to 1 Sadaqatul Fitr. Jazakullah Khair for attending. If there's any questions, you may contact me privately, inshallah. Afterwards, I am a local musalli here, so if you ever see me, just, and we'll talk about this masail. Jazakumullah Khair wa ahsan al-jazaa. Sorry for the rush.
So inshallah we'll have the adhan and we'll start inshallah 5-7 minutes after adhan inshallah. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allah.